Hey everybody, welcome to RiverCity-Media's Beyond the Booth. I'm the Howard Chaney along with Phil Harris. You know that gentleman over there, Wade, on the other side of the screen there. And our special guest tonight is someone that I've known for 40 plus years. Our families have been neighbors for 60, 70 years, something like that. And it's more like, instead of a friend, it's more like having a family member on here. But tonight our special guest is Alabama football, basketball, baseball, croquet, I guess, if they've
Yeah.
got one in Alabama, but an official here for the Alabama AHSAA, Mr. Randy Schrader. Randy, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Very
Uh,
much.
we've been looking forward to having you on, and Phil more so, because with you being on, Phil's not the oldest one on here no more. So, but now, Randy, how long you been officiating?
Well, I've been officiating baseball for the last 26 years. I've worked the finals in baseball twice. I officiated basketball for 20, and because of some health issues 3 years ago, I had to give basketball up. And I started football 10 years ago, or 9, 10 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. I worked the semifinals the last 2 years. And of course, my goal is to work the finals in any sport that I officiate in.
And I'm sure that you would hope that well, of course, let me start off by saying you'd hope that you get the finals at any time, but I'm
Exactly.
sure that your dream, being an Alabama fan, would be able to do the finals at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Yes. Yes, very much so. But because of the new playoff system in college football, we quit doing it at Alabama and Auburn stadiums. Now it's just going to be in Birmingham, and I think next year it's going to be in Mobile.
Oh, okay. All right.
Uh,
I did not even
yeah,
realize that. For some reason I thought it was going to alternate between the three places.
that's the way it used to be. But then when they implemented this bigger playoff system for college football, it pretty well took that weekend of the state championship high school would be the first round of the playoffs for college football, and that of course they play that at the home stadium and stuff. So to eliminate an issue, I think they just eliminated that scenario.
Right. Good deal. I'm going to turn you over to Phil. I got to step away for a second. One of my kids came in. I want to see them real quick. So I'll turn it over to Phil, and I'll be right back with y'all. And Phil, take it easy on the old man.
Yeah.
I'll try to. Well, Randy, you had mentioned you've been in this a long time. I just to kind of get to know you just a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your family.
Okay. Well, like I said, I've born and raised right here. I probably live, I don't know. Now I still live right where I grew up. When my dad passed away about 10 years ago, mom wanted somebody close by. So I built over here next to her, and which is right next door to Howie. Known that, like I said, how Howie says, I've known him since golly, he was a little bitty thing. I can remember him fishing in Dad's pond growing up as kids, So the Chaney family, known them all my life. Just if you go south from my house, it's pretty well considered Chaneyville. There's a lot of them down through there. But love football, or I love sports in general. Played everything at high school, football, baseball, basketball when I was growing up in high school. Coached my kids through the youth sports of it when they were growing up. And then once I really couldn't be a part of that, that's when I got into officiating. Kind of wished I'd have got into officiating at a younger age, because I could think back of so many things I would have done differently as a coach, coaching my kids, if I knew the way officials look at a game as compared to the way parents and coaches look at games, because it is totally different.
Yeah, I understand that because, as a matter of fact, Coach Joe Guthrie was on last night, and they've last weekend had a tournament, and they had college and SEC officials and umpiring softball games. And he said, we learned so much about officiating, of what they look for, what they see. He goes, I learned, and I've been in this a long time, and I learned a lot from those guys, just seeing through their eyes and what they see. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. It's so many people think that we have an agenda as an official or really care who wins these ball games. For the most part, these are just really good guys who love the game, who want to do what is best for the kids. I mean, we we could really care less who wins these football, any sport, any game. We just want to. Our best games are when people really don't even know we're there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, when I do go, that's what I want to see is the officials are a non-factor. You don't have, naturally you're going to have people that pays $10 or $8 that gets in this. That's what they're going to do the entire game. That's just what they're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
and every
but I like it. I like it when y'all go unnoticed, except for, just little, little common things where,
exactly.
But you're not really part of the ball game.
Exactly. Yes.
Randy, you said every school has them. You want to mention a school that has more than most?
Well, I'd rather not go there.
I'll be more than happy to throw you underneath the bus if you want me to.
No, I'd just rather not go that far into it. But I went to school at Sylvania. My kids went to school at Sylvania. Trust me, I know Sylvania's got plenty of them. I'm not chunking Sylvania. I love everybody to death up there, and that's why, for the most part, I don't call Sylvania ball games. I know everybody there, so I try not to. Sometimes it works out where I do, but for the most part, I try to avoid that situation.
Well, I can vouch for you. I used to call football games, and when Coach Benefield was at Sylvania, you talk about some passionate fans now. Exactly. I mean, they was hard on the officials, the coaches. It didn't matter who it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can remember the last regular season game that Coach Benefield coached at Sylvania. They was playing Plainview at Plainview. My kids were in school. They was in middle school at the time. That I had to go to Plainview School during the school day just to get tickets because it was already widely known that it was going to sell out. And we got at the field, I want to say around 5 o'clock. They weren't even there taking up tickets yet. And there was probably a couple of hundred people already in line waiting to get into that ball game. Those were some good years when Coach Benefield was there. And hopefully Brad will get things turned around and go back to those good years.
Yeah, I think he will. I think Brad's an outstanding coach. He did a great job at Geraldine before he left. Before he left there, yeah, I think a lot of him. Well, Randy, you talked about, had you got into this sooner, do you think you could have made this maybe a career at a higher level had you got into it at an earlier time?
I do. I really, yeah. I actually got into it at the same time I got into baseball. I'm sorry, in 2000. But my kids were in school. I called football one year. I caught myself. I wasn't officiating the game. I was standing out there on the field watching the game, and that wasn't good for me or the kids. So I decided then that football just really wasn't for me at the time, even though I loved it and I played it in school. Stuck with the baseball and basketball, just give up on football and never really got back involved in the football side of it until the local association split about 8 or 9 years ago. And just one of the guys called me up. And I like guys on both sides of the split, would have went to either one of them. Just Northeast is the one who reached out to me. And I love it. I wish now that I've been a part of it for the last 7, 8 years, I wished I'd have stayed involved with it 20 years ago, 26 years ago when I first started this.
Yeah, hey, I understand. Well, I want to kind of make this elementary a little bit because a lot of people goes to football games and they don't understand what officials go through, what training you do, or anything like that. You've got, somebody's going to see the white hat and the other guys have black hats. Talk about the positions. You've got umpires, you got the back judge. Talk about those positions and basically what is their responsibility.
Okay. But of course, you got the white hat, which is basically the crew chief of the crew that is at the ball games that particular night. You can either have in high school, we'll either have a 5-man crew or a 7-man crew. Most of you bigger schools are going to work a 7-man crew. Most of you smaller schools are going to work a 5-man crew. White hat is basically your leader, and everybody, and it's the referee, but everybody, he's got the white hat. He's just commonly known as the white hat. He's going to administer all the penalties, tell everybody what the penalties are. You've got the umpire who is basically right there in the linebackers. He's the one that if an official gets run over or hit by a player, chances are it's going to be the umpire because he is right there in the middle of the mix. He's the one placing the ball down. He'll be asking the center how he wants the ball placed. There's a little more nuances to it than just setting the ball down. He steps off all the penalties as they're, as the white hat is telling what the penalty is. The umpire is administering those penalties and stepping them off. Then you got your two side guys. I'm sorry, guys, my phone's going off. I've got some guys calling football tonight, and let me mute this thing right quick.
Yeah.
All right, but anyways, then the two side guys, they basically control the line of scrimmage. They're watching, for movement, and holding, and it's so many people don't understand. We could call holding on almost every play in a high school football game. If it doesn't affect the play, we're not going to call it. If you run a sweep or a lead play to the right side and you split in on the left side, 40 yards away from the football is holding, chances are that penalty is not going to be called because it didn't influence the play in any way. We try to get the train wrecks and leave the fender benders alone. We get the obvious stuff. But then sometimes, you got to get the little stuff to clean the game up. But yeah, everybody's got their. That's one of the things I love so much about football is you've got a team out there and you're doing your general area. I don't know how many times I've had a coach in my ear saying that defensive end on the other side is offsides. I tell the coach, I say, hey, I can see as far as the center because I've got from the center back to me. If that defensive end is on the other side, I can't see that. I can, obviously, but sometimes the angle is skewed there comes a point where we manage a football game. We don't officiate a ball game. If a team's getting beat 40-0 and that defensive end is on the team that's nothing, and maybe his head's leaned across that, we're not going to call that. We're going to start managing the football game instead of officiating the ball game.
And I guess too, a lot of times, of course, your back judge, he a lot of times keeps the clock on the 25-second clock.
Exactly. Yeah.
And of course, and he has the, everything in the back. But I guess you guys do this a lot. You'll warn players oftentimes about, a little extracurricular stuff. But I guess a lot of times y'all do a good job of putting out fires. You'll see two guys kind of go at it and you'll step between them. And because you don't want to throw unsportsmanlike conduct penalties on them unless you just have to.
Exactly. We like, we really, really preach, especially to the younger guys, preventive officiating. So much stuff could be eliminated if the guys will just step in and make their presence known and just do some preventive officiating. Just, hey, I'm watching that. or hey, watch our mouth, or just come in and make our presence known. And most of the kids are good kids, and they understand. And it'll help fix those issues. Uh, you know.
Yeah, and I very much understand. Well, when you're a side judge, and of course, a lot of times you're going to have a coach in your ear all the time. Is there times you kind of let them speak their piece to a certain extent, but do you kind of sort of at some point just kind of give them a warning about,
Yeah.
Coach, that's enough?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. If you're going to be a side guy, you cannot be thin skinned. I mean, you've got to be able to just let it roll off your back. And I try to preach hard to the guys, let them say their piece, and it is like a little bit of a double standard, because they can sit there and gnaw on you pretty hard, and you can't do it back. You have to be professional about it. Most coaches that I call their games, they understand when I've had enough. I'll verbally say, Coach, that's enough. And then if the hand ever goes up, and they're talking to the hand, they usually pretty well know I've reached my limit. And and then some of them still, they want that. Some of them want that penalty, And I have had coaches to ask for it, like, give it to me. Okay, Coach, and sometimes they use that as a motivational thing for, firing their kids up and this and that too. And I understand that part of it too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if I'm a head coach and I'm standing there, I'm not going to hound the officials very much, but I will throw some sarcastic things out there, kind of maybe some funny lines. And like if I was like with you, if I decided I wanted a penalty, I'm going to come out and tell you that I think you're doing a great job. If you don't throw a penalty on me, I'm going to say something direct. So, so go ahead and just throw me one, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was calling a baseball game. It was a big game between Fort Payne and Gadsden City this past season, and there was a shot hit down the line. It probably hit foul 2 inches. It was close, and of course we were working a 3-man crew, and I had a good view of it. And the Gadsden City coach, he came up to me, and he had a little notepad in his hand. He held it up where nobody could see, and he was nodding his head. He was doing the whole show for his fans, and he said, I'm making this look good, I'm doing this because my fans really think I'm taking up for my kids. But then he said something funny, and I started grinning. He said, well, you're not helping none by grinning at me. And so sometimes there can be humor in it, but most time it's they understand when the hand goes up, or when we say, Coach, that's enough. They usually know.
Well, I want to know this, and I'm going to throw one at you. Is when you're out umpiring and you've got Stephen White on your crew, does your back get sore from having to carry him so much?
Stephen is calling the junior high game tonight at Scottsboro. Thank God, because he said he was going to give me heck. He's going to blow my phone up during this. Me and Stephen call together almost every Friday night. Let me tell you, it's always interesting with Stephen on your crew.
Oh, yeah, it definitely was. I mean, he used to catch a lot of grief. I think he's turned out to be pretty good over the years. But every time I see him, I said, what are you doing at a high school game? Did they finally get you off the JV field? I really give him a rough time about it, because I've known him for a long time. But, yeah, I guess you guys on Friday, you really do have a lot of fun, because, I mean, you get to referee a ball game and you're going to catch a lot of grief. But what are some of the games that you've seen in the past that you kind of sort of get caught up and become a fan of the game? Because you've got to get yourself away from that, because you've got a game to call. But are there times at games you really get caught up in a good football game?
Oh, yeah. There's been, multiple of them, over the years. But, this year, of all the games I never would have thought I would have really got caught up in was the first game of the year. We're working the section Ider football game. Went into overtime. Both coaches showed a lot of class. The kids showed a lot of class. It was back, it was a real close ball game, wound up in overtime. Ider does a pick six in the overtime, but your defense can't score, so we're blowing it dead. The PA announcer comes over the PA and says that we had an inadvertent whistle. So really got the Ider section fired up, which we didn't have an inadvertent whistle. The defense can't score in overtime.
3 points.
We were there was a whistle, but we was blowing it dead. So luckily, Ider scores, on their possession in overtime, and it sort of calmed the Ider fans down. But that, even though we weren't big 5, 6, 7A football, it was little 1A and 2A schools. It was a great atmosphere. Coach Clements got his first win at Ider. Everything about it was great. And you couldn't help but sort of get caught up in that moment, even as an official, just the excitement of the game.
I noticed. I saw the video of the score touchdown from the end zone, and the side judge was walking to the middle of the field after they had signaled touchdown. And when the Ider players and coaches come crashing onto the field and was jumping on top of it, he kind of sort of stopped for a split second and turned his head and looked, and like he was a fan at that single moment. You could just tell by his expression he was a fan, and then he turned his head and walked on. But and I guarantee he had that same thought going through his head.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And
of course, I'm sure there's many other games you want to share. Well, one thing I kind of want to do this because officiating has become where it's hard to find officials anymore. It doesn't matter what sport it is: football, basketball, softball, baseball. I've thought about starting to do softball again, but some people have talked about getting involved, but I think sometimes maybe people don't know how to get the ball rolling. Yeah, everybody said, well, you go on a website. Yes, that's true. Yeah. But a lot of times they'll think about it, but then they don't pursue it. What are some of the ways to keep yourself reminded? Of course, they can reach out to you basically if they want to. If you ever want to pass your number out, if you want to do that in case, but you can walk them through it. But, a lot of folks don't know how to get involved. Like if I've thought about doing softball, I'll think about it and then it slips. Well, it's done started and I'll forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the way I was with football. Like I said, I was calling baseball and basketball for years and I was constantly thinking, hey, I need to get back into football. But, by the time I would think about it, it was football season. Well, we've already been going for 2 months. With our training and everything else and meetings when the season gets here. And we do have a few guys that come in and we'll accept a new guy right now. And we're week 4. You're not going to get a whole lot this year and this season, but we'll start training you and getting you ready for next year. It's never too late. And I don't care that football, baseball, basketball. You spoke to Stephen White. I know he's the vice president, training officer of their basketball association. So I can get you in touch with if you want to call basketball. I was the president of our baseball association for 15 years. Recently just stepped down, but I'm still very involved with our baseball association. You can call me, Larry Bradford, JP Jones. There's several of our guys that, with baseball. I'm kind of the guy in DeKalb County as far as our football association. Andy Robertson, he lives in San Rock. He's our president. We got Crash Cannon, who lives in Gunnersville. He's our vice president. So we got several guys that you could reach out to. And I'm not greedy. If you reach out to me, and I've had a guy this year, he reached out to me and wanted to call football, and he lived in Boaz. Well, Greater Sand Mountain, which Greg and that bunch are great guys. I said, you need to call with them. Their games are going to be closer for you. You'd be driving a long ways because most of our schools are in DeKalb and Jackson County. We've got a few schools out your way, but the majority of their schools are more down that way. And, our Northeast district, we got 3 associations in it. There's our association, which is Northeast. And then we've got Greater Sand Mountain, which is Greg Lee's and Eric Scott's bunch down around Albertville. I think they meet there at Sand Mountain Amphitheater. And then we've got the Huntsville Association. I think they're just called North Alabama Official Association. And that's the Northeast Alabama. That consists of our district. And all of us, I feel like, work great together. This week we had more games than I could cover. The whole state had more games than we could cover. Thankfully, Coach Lipscomb at North Sand Mountain was willing to switch his game to Thursday night. So I don't know if y'all got that on the scoreboard thing, but it has been switched to Thursday night to help, and then so to make it where we can actually cover all of our games in this area this week. We're good about working together and helping make sure we get our schools covered.
And I think people don't understand too. It's a tough job, and you're going to catch a lot of grief, but it's a rewarding field. You enjoy. Not only do you enjoy the game, but for the most part, you enjoy getting to meet other people also. I mean, because that's how when y'all come off the field, you meet familiar faces at times, and so that's the thing that makes it rewarding.
Exactly. Yes. I enjoy. Of course, I enjoy going to the local schools and seeing people that I ain't seen in years and this and that. Maybe guys I played ball with in high school, different things. And but also I enjoy going places where people don't know me from Adam's House Catch, and getting to meet new people and experience all that. And you don't really have to worry about them. The fans calling you by name and thinking, oh, okay, yeah, they know each other and stuff, there's, and I really, really wish the younger generation was more involved in this, especially college kids, because, it's a great little part-time job. You're not going to get rich doing it, but it's stuff that a lot of these kids did when they were in high school. And what, you can block dates. There's an app, Dragonfly, that we book all of our stuff through. If there's dates you can't call, you just go in and block those dates, and soon as, and like I'm our assigner, and when I come in, it'll tell me, if they're available, not available. I know exactly who's available to call the game. And I think it's just a great way to stay involved in a sport, any sport that you love and enjoy being around.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely understand that. I want to go back to a couple of rules things. When you go to high school games, okay, college rule, pro rule, high school has different rules. And all the time I'll be at a game and there'll be an interference call. And somebody said, Phil, what's said on that? I said, I can't tell you because the high school rule, the college rule, and the pro rule are all different. You uncatchable ball. There's different things, and also face mask penalties is another one. Describe those, how they differ from high school, college to pro.
Okay, exactly. Uncatchable. There's no such thing as an uncatchable ball in high school football. You'll see coaches from sideline, they're doing this. That's what you see on Saturdays. They got that hand over their head, and there's, that was uncatchable. That is not a rule in high school football. So all y'all fans out there, if you're listening to this, that is not a rule in high school football. So it don't matter if he overthrew him 50 yards. If you interfered with him, it's interference in high school football. High school football, the only way you can legally block below the waist is you're an interior lineman in the tackle box, and your initial move is straight down. If you raise up, go down, it's blocking below the waist. You're nowhere on the football field except from tackle to tackle, and your initial fire is the only time you can block below the waist. So if you're a league blocker and you come out and you cut that defensive end, it's a block below the waist, and it's illegal. That being said, and we've got a lot of schools doing this, and we've really had to, it's been like a point of emphasis with us as officials. We've got linebackers that are coming in and cutting the lead blockers' legs and taking them out. That's illegal also. Just because you're on defense don't mean you can legally go cut a guy's. And most high school rules are all designed around safety. The blocking below the waist is where most kids gets a knee, blowed out or something like that. And so those are the two of the main things. Another thing is offsides. Once you're offsides, you're offsides. There's no getting back, if the ball ain't snapped, you get back and all that. If a defensive guy jumps offsides, once he enters that neutral zone, he's offsides. Same now with even with and a lot of that with offense and defense is some of the things that we'll do preventative officiating with. I'll holler, look at the ball, and then when the snap is intimate, if they haven't corrected it. Now, if the team's going on 2 and they jump in the neutral zone, then we're going to get it. But if they just line up offsides, offense or defense, we're going to try to get them lined up right, correctly. And every coach knows this, and I don't know why it's so hard for these high school kids to understand it. For the most part, we won't let them line up wrong. If I got 2 guys split out and one's on and one's off, if they'll just tell me what they are, I will not let them line up in an illegal formation. And pretty much all our side guys will not let them line up in an illegal formation if they'll just – most time when they line up both guys on and they illegally go downfield, they just didn't tell us. If they tell us, we'll back the guy off or move a guy up, whatever we need to do to make them in a legal formation. And all that is, like I said, that's part of the preventive officiating. And another thing in high school football, there's only 3 rules that brings an automatic first down, and it's roughing. You either rough the quarterback, rough the kicker, or rough the snapper. Roughing. If it ain't got roughing involved in the penalty, it does not bring an automatic first down. A lot of, it can be pass interference 40 yards down the field. If it was 3rd and 40, you're 3rd and 25. So those are the only 3 penalties. Most people don't understand. Those are the only 3 penalties that gets an automatic first down.
Yeah. And what about how's the face mask rule in high school different from college? It's a little different.
Yeah, it's a little different too. There's grasping and turning, which turns it into a personal foul. There's just grasping the face mask, which is a 5-yard penalty. We try to most times be a 5-yard penalty. But like I said, if the head turns, it's going to be a major distance penalty, and it'll be a 15-yard penalty. I've had coaches, some of them, I've had them call me and say, hey, they penalized the team we was playing 5 yards for a face mask, and they did away with that. And I said, no, they did away with that in college football. Sometimes it's even, I've had to take screenshots of the rule book and send it to them because they just, they're pretty insistent, that it was done away with, and it's not. That's the big difference in high school football with the face mask is just grasping it is a 5-yard penalty, and grasp and turn is a 15-yard penalty.
Of course, and also you have the helmet contact. How does that work in high school? I mean, like in college, they review and do all this stuff. So if you feel like a kid leaves with his helmet, hits in a helmet, it's going to be a penalty. It's
going to be a penalty, yeah. Targeting and blindside blocks is the stuff when I was growing up. You like that sports center stuff, the wild stuff that they're trying to take out of the game now. I know they're saying it's we're going to put dresses on people and stuff like that because they're taking a lot of it out. But I mean, it's for the safety of the kids. I understand it. Don't always agree with everything about it, but I don't make those decisions. But targeting and blindside blocks, blindside block is so simple. It's basically most time is a legal block, but they don't lead. If they'll lead with their hands, if they'll come out and lead with their hands, it's a perfectly legal block. It don't matter if the kid saw it coming or didn't see it coming. If you lead with your hands, it's a legal block. If they don't see it coming and you lead with your shoulder or your head, then it's a blindside block, whether your head was in front or behind. It don't matter. And you're going to get penalized for it. Targeting in high school is different, and I think the college rule ought to be the same. You're going to get penalized for targeting. The only way you're going to get ejected from it is if the ref or the official deems it was intentional. He has to deem that you did it to intentionally hurt a kid. If you just come in, lower your head, and target, you're going to get a penalty for targeting, but you're not going to be, ejected from the ball game.
Because I don't like that in the college rule because a lot of times those kids don't. I mean, you're going so fast, you don't think about. I've seen kids get thrown. I saw a Tennessee player, linebacker, on a punt get called for targeting and got thrown out of the game. But when the returner got to him, he lowered his head to hit him in the chest. The returner's feet come out from under him. Yeah. So he hit him right in the face. The intent was not to hit him there, but he got tossed because of it. Yeah. So I don't like them to, unless, like you say, you can just obviously tell he is trying to hurt the guy, naturally. And I understand it. And one other rule, high school, you can't leap a player either, can you, when you're running the football?
Hurdling is illegal in in high school football. If a player is laying flat on the ground, you can jump over him. But if somebody's coming up to tackle you, and you see it a lot now in college and pros, then they'll hurdle. That is illegal in high school football. And I've had a game last year where it'd be short yardage and they'd run a dive up the middle and the fullback would dive over the pile. And the coach was screaming, he's hurdling. Well, no, a dive is a dive. He dove over and he landed on his belly. A hurdle is where he jumped feet first and landed feet first. And there's a big difference in the two. Of course, coaches, they try to get a call out of you so any way they can. But we do have a lot of kids. Extra points is a lot of times where you'll see hurdling. The center's bent over. They can't legally make contact with the center because he's vulnerable with his head looking down, but you'll see a guy get a run and go and jump over, hurdle the center and try to block the extra point or field goal. That's not legal. Also, that's the two main times, either running back or trying to block a kick. You'll see them hurdling.
Randy, I think we've pretty much, covered a lot of topics because I want to educate people on, most of the rules I do know and know the difference, but a lot of people don't and they don't understand them. And it would make football a lot more enjoyable game if fans had to go through kind of a 101 class in what it's like to be official so that they understand the game better. And so, watch the game, not the officials, But also hopefully awareness because we need officials because, the interest in football players has gone down. We don't need that to happen. And a lot of concerns for high school folks, for high school coaches is officiating. They worry about those two things that may destroy high school football. And you about North Sand Mountain moving their game to Thursday against Cedar Bluff. Well, up in Tennessee, there's numerous games. They have to put out a schedule telling you when you're going to be playing on Thursday and when you're going to be playing on Saturday. And there's numerous games being moved for that reason.
Exactly. Yeah. And, I think that the state sent out a memo, it's been a few weeks ago, that said that right now there's a shortage of 3,300 officials in the state of Alabama. That's all sports combined. They need 33. I mean, you think about that. They need 3,300 more officials. That's a staggering number.
Yeah.
And if, and for me, like this week, I've got 6 games. That's also 12 clock officials that I got to have. I got to have a play clock official and a game clock official. Man, if you don't think you're physically able to run up and down a football field, I've got several guys that all they do is game clock or play clock. Be a part of that. I've got guys that, or they've reached their prime and they're going, towards the end of their career, and all they want to do is a play clock. Hey, man, like I said, I need 12 guys this week just for play clocks, and that's great. If you I can you pretty well use you every Friday and on Tuesdays and Mondays and Tuesdays on junior high. Great. If you feel like you can't get up and down the field, we can work you as a play clock operator.
Well, Randy, before I let you go to Howie, if people's interested in being an official, what website do they go to as far as if they want to reach out to you, basically?
They go to the Alabama High School Athletic Association, and there's a link on there as officials. And you click on the officials link, and if there's a drop-down box somewhere, I know there's a drop-down box for officials, and then you just click become an official, and you fill out all the information right there. That's the easiest way. You can contact me. I don't care to give my number. It's 256-996-1601. That's my cell phone number. And if it ain't with me, I can get you in touch with the person you need to get in touch with to call, football. I know football, baseball, basketball. I can even get you in touch with volleyball. Don't know much about wrestling and track, but the rest of it, I could, if it involves a ball, chances are I can get you involved in it, and be happy to.
And I know another growing sport you're probably going to start seeing popping up is girls flag football. That's fixing to be a popular. It already is up in Tennessee, and it's fixing to be that way down here. So there's another sport to be able to officiate. Well, Howie, I'll let you quiz him a little bit, and we'll try to get out. I think we pretty much covered everything that I can think of.
Good deal. And I'm sorry I had to step away, Randy, but when kids come in, you got to take care of them.
I totally understand.
Yeah, if you already answered this, I'm sorry, but how many officials are you in charge of?
Right now, on our roster, we got 52 officials on our roster. I really, really need about 70 to cover the schools. We have contract with 12 high schools that we, supply officials for. And like this week was 6 games. I can cover 5 games easily. I shouldn't say easily. It takes everybody I got to cover 5 games. This week we had 6. So like I said, it was either we would have probably been looking at bringing a crew all the way from Birmingham up to cover one of these games in DeKalb or Jackson County. And like I said, thankfully, North Sand changed their game. One that was willing to change their game. And I understand why other coaches, Valleyhead got homecoming this week, and other schools have different things, and I understand that. And but I really appreciate Coach Liscombe doing that for us. It helped us a lot, and it lets me cherry pick. To where before, I can't promise him what kind of a crew he's going to get. Now, in my opinion, he's probably going to get 5 or 6 of our best guys that we got available because he's the only team in our that we have playing that night.
So he's going to get the A team, huh?
Well, I hope so. Well, I hope so. He's going to have several Super 7 officials on his crew. So, I mean, I would think they're going to be a pretty good crew.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be. We got a few comments we're going to read. I really dread reading them because most of them is about me asking you questions about me. But anyway, Randall Cunningham, the founder of River City Media, he's like, as a neighbor, is Howard Cheney a illegal motion, holding, or necessary roughness?
I guess you might be an illegal motion guy. uh, I'm a night owl. I work third shift
Right.
where I
Yeah,
work.
there's been
Yes,
a lot of mornings that we'd pass each other going, I'm going
exactly.
to work and you're coming
So
home.
so I guess that's more of an illegal motion because you're going to work and I'm coming home going to bed type things.
Absolutely. Somebody we both know, a friend of the show, John Seals, says rough looking bunch between us three.
And he's one to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last one from Randall Cunningham. He says Phil Harris has never given WQSB Team of the Week to the official. So, but no, it's it's great to have you on here, learning a lot of new stuff. Like I said, I did not realize that the Super 7 is going to be in Birmingham moving forward. I thought they were still going to rotate it around, and but hopefully you'll get to a Super 7 and be able to call one.
Yeah.
Did Phil ask you this? And if he did, I apologize. But has there been any? I know there's one. I just want to see which one you want to bring up. But embarrassing moments that maybe you've encountered on the football field.
I can't really. There's nothing comes to mind. I'm sure there has been.
Or maybe something you felt bad about after the one I'm thinking about is last year at Fort Payne. You blew the whistle inadvertently.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a blowout game. Maybe it was May Jemison. I can't remember, but I called Elmore and told him to go apologize to that kid for me because it was a pick six. And when I turned to do our reverse mechanics, because now I'm supposed to be the guy at the goal line to signal a touchdown, me in the white hat. And when I turned, the coach was in my way. And I had to dodge him to get out of the way. And instead of reaching for my flag and throwing my flag, I blew my whistle, which took a touchdown away from a kid. And I called Coach Elmore that following week. And I said, please, please, please apologize to that kid. Because a defensive linebacker, especially at a bigger school like Fort Payne, who probably never gets to touch the football any in his career, scores a touchdown. And because of my dumbness, took it away from him, And knock on wood, that is the only time I've ever had an inadvertent whistle. That's the whole reason I went to a finger whistle, so I wouldn't have that stupid thing in my mouth. Then you actually have to make an effort to blow it, and I did. But that was thanks for reminding me of that.
Well, one of the chain gang members, he actually holds a box at Fort Payne the last several years. He's the one that told me about it. He's like, one of the guys that had an inadvertent whistle and cost us a touchdown. He said it's a blowout, but still the kid you don't get to touch the ball very much. And I'm like, who was it? And then all of a sudden I realized it was you. And I'm like, I said, I've known Randy forever. And but being out there on the field with all these young kids and everything, you've got to have heard some crazy stuff or some funny stuff from the kids. Would you share maybe one or two of those?
I mean, of course, some of it I can't say on here. These kids, they can be pretty original, and I was, just this last night, a JV game. I had Fort Payne and Gadsden City, and we called holding on a big kid from Gadsden City, and he says, I ain't never held a day in my life. And we thought he was being serious, and then about that time, Stephen White was my umpire, and I was the white hat in the game last night. Stephen says, well, you better quit doing that. And he said, well, I probably will till the next play we run, and, first we thought he was being smart, those kids from Gadsden City were hilarious last night. We couldn't get on to them because they would turn around and make a joke out of everything we said. Back when in my basketball days, one time I fell down, and one of the players walked over there to help me up, and he said, "Man, you're so short. I didn't know if you were standing up or if you really had fell down." And then about that time, one of the parents said, he told me, he said, and I was standing up then. They said, "Man, if you get up off your knees, you'd see a good ball game." And I'm only 5'7", so I used to catch a lot of crap about my height, and I'm 62 now, so it don't bother me anymore, But it's different things like that. Y'all, back during baseball season, y'all did one of these with Johnny Johnson. I love Johnny Johnson to death. When he was at Fort Payne, we become great friends. I really, really, really like him. But one of the few coaches that I've ever had to eject during the baseball game is right when he first came. He was still used to coaching college, and he was used to that how they did things in college, and he had to learn you can't do that in Alabama in a high school baseball game. And somehow or another, he got film of it. He said right after that, he sent me the film of the whole ordeal that we had during that baseball game. But I love Johnny Johnson to death. He's, in my opinion, he's one of the best baseball coaches I've ever had the privilege of being around.
Yeah, your name came up during that interview. I don't know if you remember that or not, but it came up. So now I asked you about the kids. How about the coaches? I know the coaches has got to have said some stuff, and I know you've probably been on the sideline with Coach Benefield, and I know he's bad about saying stuff off the wall every once in a while. But what's the funniest thing you remember hearing anybody say, coach wise?
Yeah, true. I'm trying to think. Most of the coaches, theirs are just like one-liners. They just they're pretty good with their one-liners. And Coach Benefield now, I love him to death. He's everybody knows he's a great coach, but he knows the proper way. There's a proper way to work an official. There's the right way and the wrong way, and if you're doing it wrong way, you ain't never gonna get a call. I hate to be just blunt about it, but if you do it right, we're gonna look for stuff and you're gonna get that call. But if you're a jerk about it, I ain't gonna say you won't never get it. Well, we got some officials you won't never get it, but.
It's kind of like you said earlier in the show. They could be a flag on never play.
Exactly. Yes.
And so you got to pick and choose what you actually do.
Exactly. If I had a coach to reach out to me this week. They won a ball game 30-something to 6, and the team that got beat by 6, we got contracts on both of them. I ain't heard a word from him. And he won 34-6. And he told me he had 18 plays he wanted me to look at on video. And I'm like, okay, send it to me, Coach. I'll look at it, and we'll do. And I understand they're just doing their job, but sometimes that's it's a hard pill to swallow. Because, like I said, sometimes we get beyond officiating the game and we start managing the game. And I think that game was 28-0 at halftime. Chances are we've went into the managing the game mode, not, officiating the game. I mean, we're still officiating the game, don't get me wrong.
Right, yeah.
But some game like that, we don't want to get nobody hurt, and we don't want to embarrass any kids if we can avoid it.
It becomes a teaching game for these younger players to get in the ball game. So you want them to learn.
Exactly. Yeah. And And you'll see, I know a lot of people don't watch the officials, but you'll see an umpire. He'll tell the lineman, don't get those arms outside. Don't get them arms outside. And chances are they came out and bear hugged whoever they were blocking. Maybe they didn't call a holding penalty on that play because they want to tell that kid, hey, keep your hands in tight. Grabbing the shirt like this, we're not going to call that holding until the kids start to separate and we see the jersey, you stretch. If we see the jersey stretch and you don't let go, then we're going to get a holding penalty on it.
That was, I marketed that. I mean, I got a patent on that. Coach Kirby used to tell me all the time, that's the way I did. I grabbed jersey with my hands and hold my fists together. And he said, Phil, he said, if you ever get called for holding, I'm going to kick your you-know-what because I know you did it because I never got caught. I guess you're talking about Jim. He'd give me a rough time.
You're talking about Jim Kirby, right?
Jim Kirby, yeah.
Say, he was at Sylvania when I was in school for my 10th grade year. He was my varsity coach my 10th grade year at high school at Sylvania. Coach Kirby, I love him to death. John, I love John to death down there at Valley Head. I'm glad to see he's still, helping down at Valley Head.
My days coming through, I played against Timmy and Tony.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Tony was a senior when I was a sophomore, and then Timmy was a senior when I was. So he got his leg broken or sprained.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a comment from Tim Ledford. Randy Schrader is a good one.
I like Tim. His son's a heck of a baseball pitcher.
And then our last question of the day is coming from John Seals. He's like, how about the fans? What have you actually heard from the fans that you could, I know we're kind of a GPG type show, but is there anything you could possibly share that the fans have yelled at you that kind of caught you off guard?
Yeah. Well, football, I really don't hear the fans. We're far enough away from them. You'll always have one or two that's loud enough that you hear. But football, I really don't hear the fans. What really entertains me is when they have no clue what they're talking about. When you're at a basketball game and you're inbounding the ball and they're hollering 3 seconds in the lane, or some stupid like that, and like I said, I'm pretty laid back and easygoing. If you start running your mouth at me, I'm going to start grinning at you, and then it really irritates them really, really bad because then they'll start thinking, oh, you think it's funny, don't you? And then usually I'll just grin a little bit bigger, and sometimes I like to, and I've had many friends, say, I don't see how y'all can do that and put up with the way people talk to you. And I'm like, well, do you ever see us come together on the ball field or basketball court or anywhere? They said, yeah. I said, when we come together, y'all are up there in the bleachers talking about, look at those idiots down there. Well, we're down there on the ball field saying, won't you look at those idiots up there in the bleachers? So it's kind of, it's an even show.
Hey, at a basketball game, I'll hear people hollering all the time, over the back. There's no such thing.
Exactly.
There's no such thing. Yeah, now you can shove, but there's no such thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My last question, and we'll get out here, let you get going. And Randy, we appreciate this. It's been great having you on. We'd like to have you back on at another time. Maybe during basketball, and we can find out some of your bloopers during basketball season or something. But I know the officials have the walkie-talkies and earpieces and all that.
Exactly.
Have you ever had somebody that had said something to you when the other officials and it just cracked you up and you just started laughing?
Yeah. We do have people are getting smarter about this stuff, and we have had problems with fans having a radio and figuring out which channel we're on, and listening to us. And we've had that change channels before during the game, and the mic stuff has really become a real beneficial. We've now it's considered part of our equipment. Now we just voted it in. If you're going to call a varsity football game, you got to have a radio because there's so much your word against his word stuff. Now when we have conversations with coaches, players, anybody, whoever the official is that's having that conversation, we mash our button and it's broadcast for everybody to hear. Now that being said, there's been times I've had conversations with coaches that I didn't mash that button because I didn't want everybody to hear what I had to say and what he had to say.
Yeah.
But if it's most of the time, I think the radio is a great tool for us to use. But I can't really ain't had no. Makes it helps pass the time, especially during dead ball situations. We can communicate with each other, and sometimes it releases the tension. If coach is really, if my sideline is really, really great and my partner on the other side is really catching heck, I'll mash that button and I'll give him heck. I'll let him know about it. Really, other than that, it's a great tool to have in the ball game.
I know if I'm on the sideline, I usually talk to the side judge and I'll tell him, I'm like, hey, I'll give you score updates if you want it. He's like, yeah, I'll pass it along to everybody else. And so usually, QSB and them is posting on Twitter or X, however you want to call it, scores, and I'll give them local scores, and they'll pass it along to everybody else just to kind of pass the time away, like you said, during the dead ball situation.
Right. Yeah.
So, but Randy, we appreciate you joining us. You're welcome. Come back on anytime. I learned a lot today. I think Phil's learned a little bit as well. And I guess you can teach old dog new tricks if Phil's learned something. So, but we always give Phil a hard time. He's a senior of the group, and so. But we enjoy you being on here. And our last thing on here, Randy, is we always allow our guests to give a shout out to whoever they want to before they get going.
I don't know. I really shout out to my wife who puts up for me being gone all the time.
If she was on here, she'd probably give football a shout out for getting you out of the house.
Exactly. I appreciate y'all guys having me on here. And I hope if we get one person to start calling football or any sport, it's worth the trouble.
Yeah, well, that was kind of my thinking, just to get people out there, keep it on their mind that if they want to get involved, it's a great way to get involved.
Exactly, 100%.
And one more time,
especially ones that thinks their coaches on Friday nights.
Yeah.
But one more time, if you will, give your number out and let everybody know if they want to join up with either football, basketball, anything with a ball in it, you can help them get officiated.
Exactly. Yeah. Randy Schrader, 256-996-1601. Or you can email me at randy.schrader12@gmail.com.
Famous 12, Randy Schrader 12.
That's it.
I remember that back in the day. So, but anyway, Randy, it's great to have you on here. Love to have you back on later on. And so for Phil Harris, I'm the Howard Channing. Our guest tonight was Randy Schrader, football official of Northeast Alabama. Well, what's the technical Northeast Association?
Northeast Alabama Football Officials Association. That's a mouthful.
Yeah. I'd run out of breath before I said all that. So we'll just leave it at that. So
there you go. Yeah.
All right. If you're thinking about being an official, contact Randy. He can help you out. So
that's
good
it.
night, everybody.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.